Hello and welcome to another Here's a Storm Quick Tip. Today I wanted to talk about a comp. In this case, the Build Your Own Task Lord comp. And what that requires is, we kind of memed it up a little bit by picking all 4 supports, but essentially this is played on Braxis, and what you want to do is have Tassadar, Uther, ideally either Stukov or Brightwing, and Ana. And this can be a normal solo laner. In this case, we picked Karazim because we felt like it was good into the matchup. Well, what matchup we thought we had, which was going to be offlane ETC or Blaze, and instead they ended up sending their Rainer up here, and then actually kept it 2-3 for some of the match. So that didn't quite work out as we had hoped. But the whole core concept is pretty simple. After a certain point, you're going to 2-3. You're going to have your offlaner, and typically your Brightwing or Stukov up here. And you're going to have your main tank, Uther, and your backup healer, in this case Ana, down here, protecting your Tassadar. And what happens is you have a classic like frontline turret healer approach. And so because of this setup and because of the armor and extra healing, what happens is it becomes incredibly difficult to attack a Tassadar without having a very specific comp in mind. And what it allows you to do is push up and inflict a lot of siege damage early in the game. And once you get 10, it allows you to go Archon Nano or Archon Divine Shield, or even all 3, and just kind of walk up and shred anything and everything. This also gives you a lot of anti-Zerg from just one hero, which is good because in this case our Zerg waves are kind of hard to defend without him. So, but you get an idea. And so at this point you can see, because they split like this and we're not too worried about some siege damage up here, we're just pushing up. And remember, our comp is going to be weaker early, simply because that is the nature of it. But what we're doing is consistently pushing in waves, and as long as Jaina, we run her down on mana, we know we can just push up to the turret. Now in this case, once the entire wall's gone, we do have to send our other healer up here. So we no longer have a hero advantage. But as you can see, they're having a lot of problems killing this Tassadar, simply because of the extra healing we can give, and because of Uther being a stun machine. And because their main damage is only Jaina in this comp, what happens is once she burns her cooldowns, it's very difficult for them to kill us. In this case, I'm a doofus, and if I just Q the right way, they will die. But I did not, so unlucky. That was my bad. And as you can see, Haiva is literally just sitting there and trading with this Jaina with no respect, because they don't have to respect them. Similarly here, yes, I understand I'm getting slowed, but I don't care really. So I'm just walking up and actually like shooting and dealing damage. And once again, we've taken the point. Meanwhile, up here, ever since we sent someone else up, you can see they haven't aggressed too much, although they did end up taking the well. But again, this is going to change shortly. And you can see one of the best case scenarios for this comp is where if you can get someone stuck, again, you're just constantly pushing waves up with this comp, where if you can get them stuck out here and you can go stun wall, then you can trap people outside the gates or in these chokes very easily. Tassadar is a very good hero on this map, and then boom. So even with essentially just solo task damage, it is not hard to kill squishies like a Jaina, like a Vala, etc. And you can see up here, They're slowly taking it back as double healer. The problem is it's taking all their resources to do so. So once they recover, they'll be fine. So in this case, we regroup and we start taking back top. Because obviously we have plenty to give down here. And with just Tass, unless Hiva mispositions, it's hard for them to ever kill him. Even without a healer down there. So once we've like re-established some top control, we can go back down and then save our wall. But you can see, despite what would seem to be like a meme, like they're having a very hard time actually getting kills, and especially getting anything with them. You can see they're just dumping damage in, and they just, with this comp, because the Rainer is stuck up here, helping the solo, what has happened is essentially they do not have the ability to kill us. And so we are slowly just winning fights and running them out of resources and making them back. Meanwhile, we can back and essentially like minimize our structure damage with less heroes. You can just see as the game progresses, like, let me zoom out a little. They're slowly getting pushed back and having a harder time dealing with this. And now our Zergway's pushing. We're going to trade forts, which is fine. And again, we just keep pushing up. We have a Tassadar. We have a stun. We actually have 2 stuns, because if you ever hit a hammer and Niana's good, they should always land a dart. Now we have Nano Archon. And you could see like how much damage the Archon actually does in this form. They have to be very careful while Hiva's nanoed. We almost get the keep here. And meanwhile, we've lost a fort and a wall. They've lost a fort, and their keep is down to 1,500 health, essentially. And now that we have 10s, our 10s, not only can we kill much more efficiently now with 7-sided and nano, but we also just stay alive a lot better. If the enemy team actually doesn't get a heck of a lot out of their 10s, and we get a large boost out of ours. So again, the goal isn't to directly fight them. This is like a horrible play. Just essentially 1v5ing there. The goal is to like take your trades where you can and use your sustainability to outlast them in lane during these control point phases. You can also do the same thing on camps even. See? Like, it's the same thing. We just left a huge wave up here. They have to send someone to go deal with it. So now we can go and look at boss. We could have invaded their camp, but we didn't do that because Kharazim and Tassadar actually rip bosses extremely quickly. So you can see it's like, okay, our tank died, and that's unfortunate, but we have Nano Archon, and we just turn the fight around. And it's the same thing, like, we can just stay here, even without a tank, because we have so many healers, and as long as we have a wave pushing, and we are forcing them. And so, even in a situation like this, where Hive is kind of messing around and just overstaying, it doesn't matter. They can't kill him without dropping Jaina and Rainer damage, and since they have to deal with the boss, they can't do both. And again, it's the same thing here. Like, we send someone in, they get a mosh, it doesn't matter. We have so much healing, they can't actually deal with us. And this fight just keeps going. Uther gets nanoed, which is actually huge because now he can just keep healing and stunning By the way, okay, so the game's essentially over at this point, but just in case you didn't know, the other key about this is Nano Uther is very powerful. Your cooldowns are the main thing that keeps this hero balanced, which is why Benediction is so broken at 16, because you can double E. Even double Q is pretty good, but double E is broken. And so when you nano them, and then suddenly their cooldowns are they recharge 150% faster, and also Holy Shock is dealing more damage, then suddenly this is a very scary hero. Not only do you heal more, you give armor, you stun multiple times, your Holy Lights do like an actual pretty significant amount of damage, especially when you're considering it's coming from a healer. And so, it's just one of those things that people underrate, and it gives you something to do besides giving tasks a nano boost. If they're not in a position to use it, or you need a setup, it's not a bad idea at all to nano your Uther and just let him set everything up for the rest of your team. So yeah, that's essentially the comp. I do I do recommend this if you have people who can play these roles. Obviously, it does require a lot of healers, and while you can play them pretty suboptimally and still get value out of them, obviously, like having an Ana who can hit sleeps and Qs consistently is pretty pog. If you don't, then you can drop that part off of the comp, even though it's less effective, because a bad Ana backing up a Tassadar is worse than just having like a good healer in that spot. Similarly, like ideal world, you have a good Uther. You can't really trade out the Uther in this comp, I would say. You can trade out the Stukov for essentially any healer. The reason I like Stukov and Brightwing is because, one, the silence gives you something you can't get from most of your heroes, and two, he's just very powerful. He can almost play the tank role in the Uther sense, but without a stun he can't. But as a secondary like frontliner, he's very good. As you saw up here in the 2v2, he can represent that like beefy healing frontliner. And then, like I said, the Karzim can be a normal offlaner. We've done it with Thrall, we've done it with Kira, done it with Dahaka even, etc. One nice thing about Karzim is it does allow you to take camps relatively quickly. And once you get 7-side, it gives you another assassination method, because obviously all of your damage being in turret Tassadar can backfire. So having someone else who can like solo kill targets if they get like double stunned is pretty cool. Alright, well, if nothing else, this comp is a lot of fun, so I recommend your team tries it, especially if you don't like Braxis and you want to play it fairly. This is a good way to maybe change your opinion. Alright, have a great day.